I thought I had the perfect life until the moment I threw it all away. "Sarah, you're glowing tonight," Patricia said, adjusting my necklace at Marcus's company Christmas party. "My son is so lucky to have you." "Thank you, Patricia. You always make me feel so welcomed." Marcus appeared beside us, sliding his arm around my waist. "What are my two favorite women talking about?" "Just telling Sarah how perfect you two are together," his mother beamed. "Robert was just saying to the Johnsons that we couldn't have asked for a better daughter-in-law." I smiled, but something hollow echoed in my chest. Perfect. Everyone always used that word about us. "Have you seen Jake anywhere?" Marcus asked, scanning the room. "He promised he'd be here by 8. "You know your brother," Patricia laughed. "Always running on his own schedule." That's when Jake walked in, his hair slightly messy, wearing a suit that looked like he'd thrown it on at the last minute. He caught my eye across the room and winked. "There's our artist," Marcus said fondly. "Sarah, go grab him some champagne. He looks like he needs it." I walked over to Jake, feeling strangely nervous. "Rough day?" "Client meeting ran late. You look beautiful tonight, Sarah." "Thank you." I handed him the champagne, our fingers brushing for just a moment too long. "You okay? You seem distant lately." I was about to answer when Marcus joined us. "Everything all right over here?" "Just catching up with your lovely wife," Jake said smoothly. The rest of the evening blurred together. Conversations about Marcus's promotion, compliments on my dress, discussions about holiday plans, but I kept feeling like I was watching my life from the outside, playing a role I'd memorized perfectly. Later, driving home in our pristine BMW, Marcus reached over and squeezed my hand. "I love you, Sarah. I hope you know that." "I love you too," I replied. Ed automatically. But as I stared out the window at our beautiful suburban neighborhood, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was suffocating in someone else's dream. I had everything I was supposed to want, but I felt empty inside. I just didn't know yet how completely I was about to destroy it all. The night that changed everything started so innocently. Marcus had left that morning for a 3-day business trip to Chicago. I'd kissed him goodbye at the door, watched his taxi disappear, then stood in our silent house feeling completely alone. By evening, I'd made myself an elaborate dinner just to have something to do. That's when Jake knocked on the door. "Hey, Sarah. Marcus asked me to drop these contracts off." He held up a manila envelope. "He's not here. He left for Chicago this morning." "Oh, right, I forgot." Jake shifted awkwardly. "Well, I guess I'll just leave these." "Have you eaten? I made way too much food." "Are you sure? I don't want to intrude." "Please, I'm going crazy in this house by myself." Jake followed me to the kitchen, where I'd set the table for one. "This looks amazing. Marcus is lucky." Sometimes I wonder if he even notices anymore. The words slipped out before I could stop them. "What do you mean?" I poured us both wine, my hands shaking slightly. "Nothing. Forget I said anything." "Sarah, talk to me. What's wrong?" "I feel invisible, Jake, like I'm just this accessory to Marcus's perfect life, his beautiful wife who throws dinner parties and looks good at company events." Jake leaned forward, his eyes intense. "You're not invisible to me." "Jake." "No, listen. You're brilliant, funny, creative. Marcus gets so caught up in work that he doesn't see how amazing you are." The wine was making me bold. "He used to see me. We used to talk for hours. Now our conversations are about schedules and mortgage payments." "You deserve someone who sees you," Jake said softly. We kept drinking, kept talking. Jake told me about his art, his dreams of opening his own gallery. I told him about the novel I'd started writing in college but never finished because Marcus thought it was impractical. "You should write again," he said. "Don't let anyone dim your light." When we reached for the same wine glass, our hands touched. Neither of us pulled away. "Sarah, I know this is crazy. Tell me to leave and I will." I looked into his eyes, seeing everything I felt reflected back at me. Longing, loneliness, a desperate need to feel alive. "Don't leave." What happened next was inevitable and terrible and intoxicating all at once. Jake kissed me like I was the air he needed to breathe. I kissed him back like I was drowning and he was my salvation. Afterward, Lying in the guest room we'd stumbled into, guilt crashed over me like a tidal wave. Oh, God. What did we just do? Jake pulled me closer. Sarah, I've wanted this for so long. This was a mistake. A huge mistake. But even as I said it, part of me had never felt more alive. The next few weeks were absolute torture. Marcus came home from Chicago with flowers and my favorite chocolate. I missed you so much, baby. I couldn't meet his eyes. I missed you too. You seem different. Did something happen while I was gone? No. Nothing happened. Just tired from work. But Marcus knew me too well. He kept studying my face, asking if I was feeling okay, if we were okay. We're fine, Marcus. Just stressed about the Morrison project. At Sunday dinner with his family, I felt everyone could see my guilt written across my forehead. Jake sat across from me, and every time our eyes met, my heart hammered against my ribs. Sarah, you're barely touching your food, Patricia observed. Are you feeling all right, dear? Just a small headache. Marcus immediately put his hand to my forehead. You do feel warm. Maybe you're coming down with something. His concern made everything worse. Jake excused himself to the bathroom, and I felt a moment of relief. You've been off lately, Patricia said gently. Is everything all right between you and Marcus? I almost confessed everything right there. We're fine, just wedding planning stress. What wedding planning? Marcus laughed. We're already married. I meant the Hendersons' wedding. I'm helping plan their reception. The lies kept multiplying. Every day, Marcus would ask about my mood, my appetite, my sleep. He brought me tea when I had headaches. He scheduled a romantic weekend getaway because he thought I needed to relax. Meanwhile, my phone buzzed constantly with texts from Jake. We need to talk. I can't stop thinking about you. Meet me for coffee, please. I ignored them all, but the guilt was eating me alive. I stopped sleeping. Food tasted like cardboard. I jumped every time my phone rang. Sarah, I'm worried about you, Marcus said one night, holding me in bed. Maybe you should see Dr. Peterson. I'm fine, really. You're not fine. You barely eat, you toss and turn all night, and you seem scared of your own shadow. He was right. I was terrified. Terrified of being discovered, terrified of losing everything, but also terrified of how much I wanted to see Jake again. I love you, Marcus whispered, kissing my forehead. Whatever's wrong, we'll figure it out together. His words were like daggers in my heart. Here he was, trying to fix problems I'd created by betraying him in the worst possible way. I knew I should confess, but I was a coward. I convinced myself that telling him would only hurt him unnecessarily, that I could live with this secret if it meant protecting the man I'd promised to love and honor. I had no idea how wrong I was. Patricia cornered me in the kitchen during Sunday dinner. All right, Sarah, something is definitely wrong. You've lost weight, you're pale, and you barely speak anymore. I dropped the plate I was drying. I'm fine, Patricia. Really. Don't lie to me, honey. Are you and Marcus having problems? My composure cracked. Tears started flowing before I could stop them. Oh, sweetheart. Patricia pulled me into a hug. What's going on? I can't. I sobbed into her shoulder, coming so close to confessing everything. Is it another woman? Is Marcus cheating? No, God, no. Marcus would never. Then what? You can tell me anything, you know that. I pulled away, wiping my eyes. It's just work stress. The Morrison account is really demanding. Patricia didn't look convinced, but she let it go. If you need to talk, I'm here. You're like a daughter to me, Sarah. Her words made everything worse. The next week, Daniel started acting strange around me. Marcus's best friend had always been friendly, but suddenly he was giving me weird looks and cutting conversations short when I walked into rooms. Daniel seemed off tonight, I mentioned to Marcus after dinner at their house. Really, he seemed normal to me. Maybe he's stressed about the Peterson merger. But I could feel Daniel watching me, studying me like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Then Jake showed up at my office. I was walking to my car in the parking garage when he appeared from behind a pillar. My heart nearly stopped. Jesus, Jake, you scared me to death. We need to talk, Sarah. You can't keep ignoring me. There's nothing to talk about. What happened was a mistake. A mistake? He grabbed my arm gently. Look me in the eyes and tell me you didn't feel anything. Let go of me. I'm falling in love with you, Sarah. I think you feel the same way. You're Marcus's brother. This is insane. He doesn't appreciate you. He takes you for granted. That's not true. When's the last time he asked about your dreams? When's the last time he really listened to you? His words hit too close to home, but I couldn't let myself go there. This conversation is over, Jake. Stay away from me. Sarah, please. That's when I saw Daniel walking toward his car 20 feet away. Our eyes met across the garage, and I knew from his expression that he'd seen Jake grab my arm, heard our raised voices. Daniel stopped walking. Jake and I froze. Everything okay over here? Daniel called out. Everything's fine, I said quickly, my voice shaking. But Daniel's eyes moved between Jake and me, and I could practically see the wheels turning in his head. I was a dead woman walking, and I didn't even know it yet. Daniel called Marcus that night. I knew because Marcus's phone rang at 9:47 p.m., and he stepped into his office to take the call. I pressed my ear to the door, my heart pounding. What do you mean, something I should know? Marcus's voice was sharp.
I couldn't hear Daniel's response, but Marcus's tone grew colder. Are you sure about what you saw? More muffled conversation. Okay. Thanks for telling me. I'll handle it. I sprinted back to the living room and pretended to read a magazine. When Marcus emerged, his face was stone. Who was that? I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. Daniel. Marcus didn't elaborate. He went to bed without kissing me goodnight for the first time in 3 years. The next day crawled by like torture. Marcus texted me that he was working late, wouldn't be home until 8. I spent the entire day rehearsing what I would say, how I would explain the unexplainable. When I heard his key in the door at exactly 8 o'clock, my mouth went dry that he didn't call out, "I'm home," like usual. Didn't kiss me hello. He just walked into the living room and stood there, staring at me. Daniel told me something interesting today. My heart stopped. Oh? He said he saw you and Jake together in the parking garage yesterday. Said it didn't look like a friendly family conversation. I don't know what he thinks he saw, but he said Jake had his hands on you. That you two were arguing like lovers. That's ridiculous. Jake stopped by to ask about your birthday plans. We got into a disagreement about the restaurant choice. Marcus studied my face. Really? That's your story? It's not a story. It's what happened. Then why do you look terrified right now? Because you're acting like I committed a crime. I'm allowed to talk to your brother, Marcus. Are you having an affair, Sarah? The question hung in the air like a loaded gun. I could lie. I could stick to my story about birthday plans and restaurant choices. But looking at Marcus's face, seeing the man who had loved me unconditionally for 3 years, I couldn't do it anymore. Yes. The word came out as a whisper, but it might as well have been a scream. Marcus sat down heavily on the couch. With Jake. It was only once. It didn't mean anything. When you were in Chicago. In our house. I nodded, tears streaming down my face. In our bed. The guest room. Marcus put his head in his hands. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. I'm sorry, I whispered. I'm so sorry. When he finally looked up, his eyes were empty. Get out. Marcus, please. Let me explain, get out of my house. Tonight. This is my home too, not anymore. The man I'd married, the man who'd never raised his voice at me, spoke with a quiet finality that was more terrifying than any scream that my perfect life was over. I've called my parents and Jake, Marcus said the next morning, his voice flat and emotionless. Family meeting tonight at 7. I'd spent the night in a hotel, crying until I had no tears left. Marcus, please let me talk to them first, you've done enough talking. I should be the one to tell them. You lost that right when you screwed my brother in our house. His words hit like physical blows. I deserved every one that evening. I sat in Patricia and Robert's living room where I'd spent countless holidays, watching Marcus systematically destroy my life. I asked you all here because Sarah has something she needs to confess, he began. Patricia looked confused. What's this about, honey? Tell them, Sarah. My mouth opened and closed like a fish. No words came. Fine. I'll tell them. Marcus's voice was surgical in its precision. 3 weeks ago, while I was in Chicago, Sarah had sex with Jake in our house. The silence was deafening. Patricia's face went white. What? She cheated on me with my own brother. Sarah. Patricia's voice was barely a whisper. Is this true? I could only nod. Patricia started crying. How could you do this? How could you do this to Marcus? To our family. Robert just stared at me like I was something diseased, then Jake spoke up. Look, it's not entirely Sarah's fault, thank God, I thought. He's going to tell the truth. But Jake continued, she came on to me pretty aggressively. She told me she wasn't happy in her marriage, that she felt trapped. I tried to resist, but she was persistent. My mouth fell open. That's not what happened. She'd been complaining about Marcus for months, Jake lied smoothly. Saying he was boring, that she needed excitement. I told her she should work things out with you, man, but she wouldn't listen. Jake, stop lying. I finally found my voice. I'm not lying. You called me that night, remember? You said Marcus was gone and you were lonely. You invited me over. Every word was a knife in my back. Patricia and Robert were looking at me with such disgust, I wanted to disappear. You seduced him? Patricia asked, her voice breaking. No. That's not how it happened. But I could see in their eyes that they believed Jake. He was family. I was just the wife who destroyed their son. Marcus stood up. Jake, I want you out of this family. Don't contact any of us ever again. Marcus, come on, you're dead to me. Then Marcus turned to me. As for you, I want you out of my house tonight. I never want to see you again. Patricia walked over and took the family jewelry from my fingers, rings Marcus had given me, the necklace from our wedding day. You're not welcome in this house anymore, she said, her voice shaking with emotion. In 1 hour, I'd lost my husband, my family, my home, and any shred of dignity I had left. The worst part wasn't even the loss, it was knowing I deserved every second of it. The Sunset Motel on Highway 9 cost $48 a night and smelled like cigarettes and broken dreams that I'd been living there for 2 weeks, surviving on ramen noodles and whatever I could afford from the vending machine. Marcus had frozen our joint accounts, and my individual savings wouldn't last much longer. My mother called every few days with the same refrain. How could you throw away such a good man, Sarah? Such a good life. I don't know, Mom. I really don't know. Marcus was perfect for you. Stable, successful, kind. Do you have any idea how lucky you were? I know what I had. I know what I lost. Then why? Why would you do something so stupid? I couldn't explain it to her because I couldn't explain it to myself. How do you tell your mother that you felt dead inside your perfect life? That you were suffocating under the weight of everyone's expectations? Work became unbearable. My co-workers treated me like a pariah after word got out. Some looked at me with pity, others with judgment, but all of them whispered when I walked by. Can you believe she cheated with the brother-in-law? I always knew there was something off about her. Poor Marcus. He's such a good guy. I started calling in sick more and more. My boss, Jennifer, called me into her office on a Wednesday. Sarah, your performance has been declining significantly. The Morrison account specifically requested a different coordinator. I understand. I'm going to have to let you go. I'm sorry. So I lost my job too.
Now I spent my days lying on the motel bed with its suspicious stains, staring at the water-damaged ceiling, replaying every moment that led to this disaster. I thought about calling Jake, but remembered how quickly he'd thrown me under the bus to save himself. I thought about begging Marcus for forgiveness, but knew I'd burned that bridge beyond repair. The worst part wasn't the loss of material things, the house, the car, the comfortable life. It was the loss of respect. I had to live with the knowledge that I'd betrayed the best man I'd ever known for a few moments of selfish gratification. I'd destroyed a man who'd never done anything but love me completely. And for what? A brother-in-law who'd abandoned me the moment things got difficult? I'd never felt so alone in my entire life. 3 months after my world imploded, I was working the night shift as a cleaner at the Meridian office complex. It was the only job I could get with my destroyed reputation. Minimum wage, no benefits, just me and a cart full of cleaning supplies moving through empty offices from midnight to 8 a.m. On a Tuesday night in November, I was cleaning the law firm on the 15th floor when I found it, Marcus's business card on the conference room table. Marcus Williams, Senior Marketing Director, Chen Associates. He'd been here earlier that day for a meeting. Seeing his name in elegant black letters broke something open inside me. I sat down on that conference room floor and cried until I had no tears left. Cried for the life I'd destroyed, the man I'd hurt, the family I'd lost. Cried for the woman I used to be before I made the worst decision of my life. That's when it hit me. I had 2 choices. I could let this mistake define and destroy me forever, or I could use it as the catalyst to become a better person. The next day, I used my last $50 to see a therapist. Why do I? "How think you made that choice?" Dr. Rodriguez asked during our first session. "I don't know. I was lonely, I guess. Loneliness doesn't typically lead to infidelity. What was missing in your life?" I thought about it for days, then it clicked. Myself. I was missing myself. I'd spent my entire adult life being what everyone else expected me to be. Marcus's perfect wife, Patricia's ideal daughter-in-law, the marketing coordinator who never rocked the boat. But who was I underneath all those roles? "I think I cheated because I'd never learned how to be authentic," I told Dr. Rodriguez. "I was living Marcus's dream, not my own." "That doesn't excuse what you did." "No, it doesn't, but it explains it." I started journaling, trying to understand the woman who'd made such a destructive choice. I enrolled in a community college writing class, the first thing I'd done for myself in years. I volunteered at a women's shelter, helping other women who'd lost everything rebuild their lives. Maybe it was my way of trying to balance the scales after causing so much pain. Slowly, painfully, I began to rebuild myself from the ground up. Not as Marcus's wife or anyone else's perfect woman, but as Sarah. Just Sarah. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, and the most important. 6 months after everything fell apart, I ran into Patricia at the grocery store. I was reaching for cereal when I heard her voice behind me. "Sarah?" My heart nearly stopped. I turned around slowly, expecting to see hatred in her eyes. Instead, she looked tired, older. "Patricia, hi. How are you doing?" The question seemed genuine, which confused me. "I'm surviving. You? Can we talk? There's a coffee shop next door." 5 minutes later, we sat across from each other in awkward silence. "Jake was arrested last week," she said finally. "Arrested. Embezzlement. He's been stealing from Robert's business for over a year, using the money to pay gambling debts we didn't even know he had." I stared at her. I had no idea. None of us did. Apparently, his lies and selfishness extended far beyond what happened with you and Marcus. Patricia stirred her coffee absently. "It doesn't excuse what you did, Sarah. but it opened our eyes to who Jake really is. I'm sorry about the family business. Marcus is seeing someone new, she said suddenly. Amanda from his office. She seems nice. He seems happy. Hearing that was like being stabbed and hugged at the same time. I wanted Marcus to be happy, even if it wasn't with me. He asked about you, you know, Patricia continued. Wondered if you were okay. My throat tightened. He did? He loved you, Sarah. Part of him always will. But what you did, she shook her head. It broke something in him that I don't think will ever fully heal. We sat in silence for a moment. I hope you find peace with yourself, Patricia said finally. Carrying this guilt forever won't bring our family back together, but it might destroy what's left of your life. She stood to leave, then paused. For what it's worth, I think you're suffering enough. Maybe it's time to forgive yourself. After she left, I sat in that coffee shop and cried. Not from grief this time, but from something that might have been hope. Maybe redemption was possible after all. A year after losing everything, I packed my few belongings into a used Honda Civic and drove 400 miles to Portland. New city, new life, new Sarah. I'd been accepted into Portland Community College's nursing program. I chose nursing because I wanted to spend my life helping people heal. Maybe it was my way of trying to balance the scales after causing so much pain. My apartment was tiny, barely more than a studio, but it was mine. I'd furnished it with thrift store finds and plants from the farmer's market. It wasn't much, but it felt like home in a way my perfect house with Marcus never had. So, what brought you to Portland? My classmate Jenny asked during orientation week. Fresh start, I said. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find yourself. I'd decided to be honest about my past with anyone who got close. Most people couldn't handle it. The story of the woman who cheated on her perfect husband with his brother was too messy, too complicated. But a few understood. Like David, the guy I'd been dating for 3 months. You really told your husband the truth when you could have kept lying? He asked after I'd confessed everything one night. Eventually, yes. Why? That took courage. A lot of people would have kept the secret forever. Would that have been better? No. It would have been easier, but not better. I'd written a letter to Marcus that I never sent. 12 pages of apology, explanation, and gratitude for the love he'd given me. I kept it in my desk drawer, a reminder of the woman I used to be, and the woman I was becoming. In therapy, Dr. Martinez helped me understand that forgiveness, especially self-forgiveness, wasn't about excusing what I'd done. You can acknowledge that your actions were wrong while still having compassion for the person who made them, she explained. How?
By understanding that the Sarah who cheated was lost, confused, and making terrible choices from a place of pain. The Sarah sitting here now would never make those same choices. She was right. I'd rebuilt myself from the ground up, someone who could face hard truths, someone who took responsibility for her actions, someone who had the courage to live authentically even when it was difficult. The woman I am now would never betray someone who loved her. Would never lie to protect herself at someone else's expense. Would never sacrifice integrity for a moment of selfish gratification. That I'd paid the highest possible price for my mistakes, but I'd learned who I really was in the process, and for the first time in my life, I actually liked that person. Some nights, I still thought about Marcus. I hoped he was happy with Amanda. I hoped he'd found peace. I hoped someday he might even forgive me, not for my sake, but for his own. That I'd destroyed the best thing that ever happened to me, but I'd also discovered something I'd never had before, myself. That it wasn't the life I'd planned, but it was real. It was honest. It was mine, and that was enough.